Welcome back to Creativity Central. We're going to try something new today. Hope you guys are interested in it. So since I'm going for a different kind of look, I grew this one, which I can actually regrow, but I took off the large crystals, and since I want this skull to look a certain way, I want it to look like there's bushes coming out of it. We're going to put those in and around in certain areas, and then when we add the graphite will be touching these crystals and we'll have our conductivity, and then anything can grow and it'll replate these up. So I managed to save quite a bit. So these are all pretty nice and ready to go. Too big. We'll put some small ones in there and some different shapes. So the first thing we're going to do is soak this mink skull in polyurethane. It's quick dry. Leave it in there so it soaks in pretty good. I'm going to take it out and we'll let it dry overnight. So here we go. So we've seated our skull, and we're not electroplating it. So this area in here, I don't have anything to point with. This area in here will be coated in some respects with graphite, and then I'll get conductivity to these points that we've attached and have to replate those, and then it'll grow hopefully into something cool. The teeth will remain white. We'll see. So we're back one more time. Then we'll put our Mod Podge on there. Finish up a little bit here. We want to get inside all the eye sockets. But the part that we're not going to do is this lower jaw. There we go. Lower jaw and the teeth. So we'll let that dry. So here we've put on our conductive paint, and we had to make sure that we got in and touched all of these crystals on the underside. That way we get copper growth right up into them. We went through all of the eye sockets here. We added our lead for our negative when we put it in the solution. That's where it'll draw the particles onto this paint on the negative side. We'll take a closer look. We went inside and then we left the teeth white. So we'll see what this looks like. And we did the same thing on the other side. So we're going to let this dry a little bit overnight. Just make sure everything's good and dry before we put it in. If I were to just have this skull by itself, I would probably paint the underside so it would get coated too. But if you remember, we're not going for a strict plating here. Hopefully end up with something that'll go along with this design. So here we go. We got our solution, and we're set at 325. So we're going to give it a shot here. See how it works. We have our piece of raw copper going in there. And we know that we have conductivity as the amperages, the milliamps, are moving. So we've done everything right. We'll see how this works. Should be electricity flowing to that skull. So I've had it in for about an hour. I thought I'd talk just a little bit about this. This green on here is a chrysocolla, and this piece in particular has a large mass of copper on the inside, as you can see, and an outer coating of conglomerate. The blue you see here is actually copper sulfate, which is precipitated. We'll knock that off and put that back into the solution. But this kind of rock can be found at the Centennial mine in Centennial Heights, if you're familiar with that. And then you can also find the chrysocolla copper mix in the Mohawk area mines as well. There's one in particular back on the Bumbletown Road. Let's take a look here real quick. Plug that one back in. So let's take a look at what we have on the other side. And we have good conductivity. Our milliamps are a little bit high, and I'll explain that. Our volts are pretty good, but the milliamps are a little high, and that has a lot to do with the mass of this copper. But here's where we're at so far. We have actually new growth. It's hard to see with the iPad. We actually have new growth right by my finger there where I'm twitching on the crystals we glued to it. Other crystals that have been glued to it are starting to turn a brighter pink. But you'll notice that there's a nice pink coating starting on this skull, which is really, really cool. We'll turn it over just a little bit. It's going to take a little bit, but and these crystals on this side are turning really nice bright pink, so we should have some good conductivity there. So we will let that rest. So it's been 2 days, and we have it on slow growth. It's actually looking pretty cool. And we're looking really good. The individual crystals are getting recoated. We are at day 7. Let's take it out, take a peek. Yeah, not bad. Doing what I wanted it to do. I see some black in there still. That kind of bothers me a little bit, but we'll see.